Hello everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and welcome to what's actually a fairly disappointed showcase. I'm gonna be completely honest here, Mighty Ukko, maybe not so mighty at all. As you guys know, when Mighty Ukko was on the test server, I was actually away on holiday for a week. I had a couple of days, like when I came back, where the test server was still up for me, but I went and I looked at other champions, because I basically heard everyone saying that Mighty Ukko is actually super good. I'm a little bit frustrated by that, I'm not gonna lie, because after literally the first test on Hydra, I've already spotted some really big problems with Mighty Ukko, and not just one problem, but really several, unfortunately, which really pushed Ukko down a lot. Still a good champion, but definitely nowhere near as good as was thought. On top of the fact that, by the way, this passive, I genuinely don't know how this works, but it definitely doesn't say what it says. I know Plarium did a blog post recently where they tried to describe it, and honestly, that blog post left me more confused. I have no idea what they were even trying to say. But anyway, what is the problem with Mighty Ukko? Here's the problem. So, this A2 ability, 4-turn cooldown, double hitter, each hit when booked, 100% chance to remove 2 random buffs from the target. That's really good. Then places block buffs and decrease accuracy for 2 turns on targets that have no buffs after the attack. What is the problem? Sounds great, right? Well, there's actually several problems with this. Problem number 1. Watch this. Watch this Head of Decay. This buff right here, this protected buff, this is the buff that happens when a Hydra head respawns. So we go in, Mighty Ukko is about to fire off Ukko's Fury, and there you go. You can see the buffs are all removed. Block buffs and decrease accuracies out on all these heads. It is not there on Head of Suffering. There's no resist. It's no weak hit with weak affinity or anything like that. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work. Against Head of Suffering, this isn't too bad, but it's still annoying. It means that he will come in and he will give himself reflect damage and you can't stop him. What's the bigger problem, though? Bigger problem, Head of Blight, the poison head. You can't, with Ukko, put block buffs when it spawns in, and then it will come in and put a poison cloud on itself right after that. That's a pretty big problem. Problem number 2, Head of Wrath comes in. This first turn, Ukko cannot put block buffs on Head of Wrath. Head of Wrath first turn does an attack that gives itself increased attack and also provokes. So especially if Mighty Ukko gets provoked, you're not going to get block buffs on. Head of Wrath gets increased attack and then quite possibly goes into his Enrage thing with block debuffs and reflect damage and smacking really hard. Really big problem. That's only problem number 1. Problem number 2, which I actually I don't think I have footage of in this run. I did a second run. I am about 90% sure that this move as well can also weak hit. Right? I think it is the second hit, I believe, needs to I actually think I do. I actually think I do have footage. So 35, and you can see this is a successful run, by the way, and I'll show you the team and everything. Yeah, so actually I think at 35-30, coming up here, Mighty Ukko is going to attempt to strip these buffs and can weak hit. Yeah, look at this. So right there, Head of Wrath. Head of Wrath right there. You guys see this? We've removed the buffs from Head of Wrath. There's no block buffs decrease accuracy. You can see in every other head, block buffs decrease accuracy. Head of Wrath, there are no buffs on Head of Wrath after the attack, but Head of Wrath does not have block buffs decrease accuracy. And again, this is a big problem. It's a really big problem. I'm 90% sure what has happened here. The only thing I can think of is that this is a weak hit. So I don't know if the buff placement itself is doing a weird check. If it has to be the second hit, maybe it has to be a strong hit or normal hit, and then it can place this stuff. But obviously this means as well, it won't go through Poison Cloud. If it's a bad affinity for any of the heads, it's not going to place. Another huge problem. I also didn't mention, by the way, decrease accuracy. This is a big thing for the Poison Head in particular. You really want decrease accuracy on the Poison Head, and Ukko really struggles. Speaking of Poison Head, another problem. Jump to about 9 minutes and 11 seconds. Problem here is Poison Cloud. So we've got 2. Okay, so we can't hit Head of Wrath. He's got Poison Cloud and he doesn't have Burn. But we have Burn. We have Burn on this head right here. So we come through. Ukko's Fury strips the buff off. Fantastic. Remove buff. And there we go. You can actually see two things happening here. As you can see, we can't hit Head of Wrath. It's a weak hit because of Poison Cloud. So the buff strips don't happen. And then the block buff decrease actually wouldn't happen either. We can see on Head of Torment, we're strong affinity. There's no weak hits. But the respawn thing has blocked. It stopped block buffs and decrease accuracy. This head right here, you can see it went on Head of Suffering, no problem. Same affinity, this head right here. We stripped off the buffs. But because it has the Poison Cloud, you cannot place block buffs, decrease accuracy, which is such a disaster. So this is a huge problem. Honestly, this stuff is a huge problem. I definitely don't have footage of it in this run, but I'm again about 90% certain that Decay shield, when Decay puts a shield on somebody, that you cannot put block buffs, decrease accuracy on them. It's a massive problem. Like Head of, imagine you're doing a run and Head of Blight spawns in. Ukko cannot put block buffs, decrease accuracy on Head of Blight the first turn because it has the respawn debuff or buff, excuse me. Then it's on its first turn, it's going to come in, put out Poison Cloud, and you can't put decrease accuracy block buffs on it for another 2 turns after that. This makes it extremely difficult. Head of Wrath is the same thing. If it's there in combo with Poison Cloud, you cannot put block buffs on Head of Wrath the turn he spawns in, if he has Poison Cloud, if he has this increased attack, if you weak hit. It's a really big problem. These are my notes, right? Pretty sure you cannot do these things on weak hits, respawn buff, Poison Cloud, Wrath damage, or Decay shield. I think everything else is fine. Like, for example, Devour. When you get Devoured, you can still put block buffs and decrease accuracy on them. But yeah, it's a serious problem. It's a really big problem. Now, how do you deal with this? You can see in this team I was running right here, we had Thylesia, and well, you can't really see her, but I do think that the champion to run her with, I did a second run, which is where I was noticing the Decay shield thing. I do think if you run her with someone like Lydia, I think that Ukko, or run him, Ukko is a really good combo with Lydia. Really strong combo with Lydia. With Lydia, Ukko comes in, and Lydia gives you a backup single target block buffs. So what you need to do is when Head of Blight spawns in, you need to use Lydia to put block buffs on them. Or more importantly, when Head of Wrath spawns in, Lydia has to put her block buffs on them single target. This is a real pain in the butt. It's very unfriendly to full auto. You basically can't do it. You have to take some manual control at least. And that's a really big problem. As you can see, though, this run, we did 48.59 with this team right here. The team in this video is very similar, almost identical. We did 43.19. This is with Thylesia. You can see that Thylesia did really good damage. He puts out Hex, extending our debuffs, really cool stuff. This run right here, Lydia obviously doesn't do as much damage, but we were able to push further. There's obviously some luck that goes into both of these runs as well, for sure. But they're both good. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ukko is a bit of a problem champion because of that. Good champion, but not as good. And in terms of how I build Ukko, I actually need to go back and completely redo my build. This is how I built her. We built her out on stream today. And what I was aiming for, obviously good accuracy, good speed. However, with the resistance, I was trying to do a little bit of a trick here where I wanted enough resistance so that on hard, at least, where I'm planning to use Mighty Ukko, because I have Ugo for brutal and for nightmare. So for me, Mighty Ukko is for hard. On hard difficulty, about 250 resistance is enough that when the Head of Mischief, basically any of the enemies, if any enemy has decreased accuracy on, they will not be able to debuff Mighty Ukko. So she'll resist, or he, will resist all of the poisons that provokes, the heal reductions, etc., which is very useful. But the big problem is, what's the point? Because you can't place, it's almost impossible to place decreased accuracy on the Head of Blight to resist the poisons. It's almost impossible. And that's, yeah, it's a real big problem. Yep, it is. So there you go, Mighty Ukko. If I was to rebuild Mighty Ukko, I do think that they would be very good because they've got a good aura. You can see in both of these runs, I was running with Mother Cybele in the lead, who gives us decreased speed. I think that you could totally run Ukko in the lead for their aura, which is a draw for them. And they'd actually be very good in the lead with all their AoE attacks. They're actually going to put out pretty good damage. And you could put them in a taunting set with good accuracy. And that would actually work really, really well. With the taunting set, you're basically going to quite often get some taunts out. And I think that is the way to build them. In terms of the champions I had in here, I had Mother Cybele in a taunting set, giving us decreased speed and a better speed aura, and also giving us increased defense, revive on death, which is quite nice. I have her built in taunting with good resistance, accuracy, speed, and all the rest. I'm probably going to switch this gear onto Mighty Ukko and put Mother Cybele into like bigger stat gear because I do really like her for this boss. Who else did we have in here? We had Sissia was doing our main damage because I didn't want to use Ninja because people would be sad. But 220 speed. I've built her with lots of health and accuracy, and that's pretty much it. She's built to be tanky, you know? So we've like a HP ring, a HP neck, a HP banner. We're really trying to get her health high so that she doesn't die. And her masteries are like this. Mother Cybele is like this. Mighty Ukko, I put in these masteries trying to extend these debuffs, which I think is still the way to go in War Master for sure. Like I said, this sort of build, but I would rebuild. Then we had Lydia came into one run, and my Lydia's built like this, so high resistance and speed and accuracy, good defense, just really good gear overall. It's Lydia, you know, you want her to be in good gear, and with these masteries. I did replace Lydia in the first run, where my initial thought was to run Thylesio. I think is really underrated. She had masteries like this, and she is built in Bloodthirst. I haven't fully rolled her stuff up, so she's a little bit squishy. She'll get tankier, but good speed, decent accuracy, and then building up her health. Very similar to Sissia. The reason I think she's so good, she comes in AoE decreased defense for 2 turns, then increasing all debuff duration with an AoE. She can put out Hex as well. I think she's a great champion, really underrated, absolutely fantastic for Hydra. She will do good damage through Hex and through just all these AoEs at War Master. You could build her in Relentless, and she's going to be really good. You can build her to do damage. She'd be really good. I built her for survivability. But you can build her in different ways, and her masteries were these. Who else do we have? Of course, Ultimate Death Knight and Shamael. So Shamael, first of all, he's just built in a Guardian set, and he's in a very generic build, really. He's got some crit rate. He's mostly built tanky and with Guardian, and he is just in there for when the head of... to deal with the Head of Torment. Head of Torment comes in, and he just turns it into a bunch of turn meter, and he stops the fears messing up the run. You could replace him with like Rectored Wrath or something like that, and that would work okay, but I really did like him like this. You could build him for more damage. That would be fine as well. Thought this worked well, helped the team stay alive, because we don't have a ton of healing. Most of the healing coming from none other than Ultimate Death Knight, who is just fantastic here. I do have him with Brimstone now, which is great, and I've shown this build before. I've got him in Stone Skin. I have him with high resistance because he does Mischief Tank with his passive, and then just good defense. Okay, accuracy, it's enough for hard. But he comes in, and he basically, the Head of Mischief keeps targeting him. The Head of Decay with the heal reduction targets him a lot. He's got 50-50 every single time. Every single target attack, 50-50, he absorbs it, helps your team stay alive. Then he actually puts out a lot of healing and shielding for your team. Brings you another source of decreased attack as well, which is kind of good, though Mighty Ukko does provide that too. And then he does have a Provoke A1, which is kind of okay. It's not very reliable, but it does help against the Head of Decay, and he's got these masteries. So that is him. I mean, probably for this, you could probably run him with Lasting Gifts, might be a bit better for a bit more healing, but I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah, I mean, as you can see with this run right here, Ultimate Death Knight keeps us healed up. We have Ukko to revive if we need. Mother Cybele can protect us with her A2, A3. She has enough resistance. But yeah, that's sort of how it works. I might do more of this stuff in depth. I just wanted to bring it. I guess it was sort of a bit of a rant, wasn't it? Bit of a rant video, but let me know if this was interesting, if it was helpful. Like I said, I was a bit annoyed. Like, I don't know, maybe the other content creators and stuff did talk about the problems at Ukko, but having done a playtest, like, I'm actually really disappointed. I feel like he's okay, but I really do think now. I did a video earlier in the week talking about Ukko versus Ugo, where I was presuming that this would just work. But seeing as it has so many limitations, I can actually pretty much... I'd be basically 99.5% certain. You can never be 100% certain after just one day. Like, I did 2 or 3 runs, testing. That's it. I'm 99% still certain that Ugo is straight up better than Mighty Ukko for Hydra. Could be wrong. Mighty Ukko, I think with a different build would be better. Like I said, put her in a build like this, the Mother Cybele style build. You don't even need the resistance, but it's nice. But just good accuracy. Taunting set, I think it's going to be good for Doom Tower stuff as well. And he's going to be good there. He's going to be good for sure. But he is not a slam dunk champion. No way. Not a slam dunk. all of these are massive problems. They're all really big problems. I'm going to mention it to Plarium, but I don't think anything will change. I would love to see these buffs, these, protected buffs that don't really affect anyone else, not affect Ukko. I can understand weak hits being a thing, but these buffs really does get in the way. So there you go. I mean, let me know what you guys think. Have you used Mighty Ukko yet? I will obviously revisit this champion. I just wanted to get a video out as quickly as I can on Mighty Ukko now that I actually got to test them this evening. Yeah, pretty disappointed. There you go. That's Mighty Ukko. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.